Did you know? The species name Ewok was never spoken during Return of the Jedi. They were instead named during the credits, in merchandising, books, and on television. They were the focus of 2 TV movies, Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure in 1984, and Ewoks: The Battle for Endor in 1985. Additionally, there was an animated Ewoks TV series that began in 1985 and ended the next year. Also, in The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett was only named in the credits, though you wouldn't be able to attach the name to the bounty hunter without an outside source, such as the animated segment of the Star Wars Holiday Special where Fett was first publicly named. However, Boba Fett was first introduced at the San Anselmo County Fair Parade in 1978, where he was portrayed by future Return of the Jedi editor Dwayne Dunham. Joe Johnston created the design for Boba Fett's armor. He was originally all white and meant to be used for Super Troopers, an unused concept soldier for the Imperial Army. The armor's color scheme was changed when it was instead given to the bounty hunter. In between the release of the original Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas wanted to retain interest in the franchise. He and his team were, however, too busy working on pre-production for the new movie. Lucas allowed a separate production company to create a holiday special, and sent over a few prominent crew members along with notes on Wookiee culture. This led the team to write a story where Chewbacca goes on a journey to the planet Kashyyyk to celebrate Life Day with his family. The special has all of the Star Wars main cast reprising their roles, and also included several celebrity guest stars. It featured B. Arthur, Art Carney, and Diane Carroll, who plays a singer in a virtual reality fantasy of Chewbacca's father. Mitzi Welch, a writer and producer for the special, explained that this scene was supposed to be a, quote, softcore porno that would pass the censors. The holiday special aired on CBS to 13 million viewers, with mixed reviews at the time. The special in its entirety has never had a re-airing in the United States, nor has it had a home media release, although bootlegged copies of the broadcast exist. Lucas was embarrassed with how the special turned out. However, the Boba Fett animated segment was made available in 2011 on the Star Wars The Complete Saga Blu-ray set. The holiday special wasn't the only festive encounter for the Star Wars franchise. In 1980, a Star Wars-themed Christmas album was released titled Christmas in the Stars. It featured Anthony Daniels returning as the voice of C-3PO, and Ben Burtt providing new sounds for R2-D2 and Chewbacca. The album was one of the first to be recorded and mixed digitally. During the recording session, producer Mecco wasn't satisfied with the lead singer for one of the songs, so one of the other producers, Tony Bon Jovi, suggested that they let his cousin John have a chance at it. John was hired at the studio to sweep the floors, but when he was called in to sing a few notes, Mecco was delighted and immediately hired John as the singer. Mecco recounts that after the recording, he encouraged John to make a full-time career out of his singing talent, but John had his doubts. This was John Bon Jovi's first professional recording, with him as the lead singer for R2-D2 We Wish You a Merry Christmas. For Return of the Jedi, Lucas wanted to showcase extraordinary alien creatures, as he felt that the previous Star Wars films were lacking in that aspect. He planned to have a race of 20-foot-tall creatures called Yuzzums to live alongside the Ewoks on the forest moon of Endor. Yuzzums were going to be played by a troupe of puppeteers on stilts, but the idea was ultimately scrapped as the cameras wouldn't be able to frame the Yuzzums on screen with the short Ewoks at the same time. The crew, not wanting their Yuzzums concept to go to waste, made a much shorter model of one to be put in the background of Jabba's court. In the 1997 special edition, a new Yuzzum was digitally added as a member of the Max Rebo Band. In the short story and the band played on, the band was originally known as Evar Orbis and his Galactic Jizz Wailers. Jizz Wailer, a term introduced in the Return of the Jedi novelization, meaning a musician that plays upbeat music similar to jazz. Scenes with alien languages were performed in English and then later overdubbed.
Going somewhere solo.
On set, Jabba's voice was performed by puppeteer Dave Barkley, so that he could lip-sync Jabba while he spoke.
Your mind powers will not work on me, boy.
Before the special editions, George Lucas wasn't able to fit Jabba the Hutt in the first Star Wars movie, but for Return of the Jedi, he wanted Jabba's long-awaited appearance to be top-notch. The alien gangster went through many design concepts and revisions. At one point, they even considered giving Jabba a fez. One designed by Ralph McQuarrie was later repurposed for the character as Morrigan in the Star Wars Rebels animated series. For the final Jabba design, Phil Tippett was influenced by the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. Wonderland. The clay cast for Jabba weighed 4,000 pounds and was too large to fit inside any oven that they had available, so an entire room at ILM was converted to a walk-in oven to bake it. The completed puppet was 15 feet long from head to tail and had a hollowed fiberglass interior covered with latex skin to give the illusion of a solid, living creature. The puppet had to be emotionally expressive considering Jabba's hefty screen time. It ended up costing $500,000 to construct, which is over $1.2 million adjusted for inflation. 3 people sat inside the puppet to control its arms, mouth, head, and tail. In front of each of them was a small black and white monitor to watch Jabba's movements as a whole. A few other people handled the puppet from the outside as well. One crew member manipulated Jabba's breathing and other subtle bodily movements. Another blew smoke into a tube so that it would come out of Jabba's mouth. Jabba's eyes were articulated enough to blink, look around, and have the pupils dilate. This was all done by remote control operators. On his right arm, there is a tattoo carving of the Disilegate crime family symbol, an organization of which Jabba is a member. Lucas decided that Leia should kill Jabba by choking him in a manner similar to a scene from The Godfather. This was the last Jabba scene to be filmed in case the puppet was damaged. Years after the movie's completion, the Jabba puppet suffered severe deterioration, and unfortunately had to be thrown out in its entirety except for the eyes, which are on display at exhibits to this day. Dennis Muren, Phil Tippett, and John Berg used an Asian elephant from Marine World named Margie as visual reference for the AT-AT's movements. The walkers were filmed through the use of stop motion, and as a result they had no motion blur, making them seem more mechanical. This wasn't the first time Margie helped out with the Star Wars movie. She also played the Bantha ridden by Tusken Raiders in A New Hope. Ralph McQuarrie originally designed the Bantha as a costumed horse, to be ridden by actors of diminutive stature, but as the Tusken Raider design grew, so did their animal companion. Effort was made to make sure Margie's costume was comfortable at Death Valley, California, and her scenes were shot in January to ensure that there were moderate temperatures. The fur coat is made from palm leaves, the beard is from horsehair, and the horns were made with ventilation tubing as the base. The shot where 2 banthas are shown standing next to each other are actually 2 separate shots of Margie composited together. Additionally, she was trained to keep her trunk in her mouth so it didn't ruin the illusion of an alien creature. Margie's trainer was dressed up as one of the Tusken Raiders and rewarded her with apples between takes. That's not all though. Did you know that George Lucas originally wanted to call Starkiller from The Force Unleashed Darth Icky, or that Lucas muddied in the development of multiple Star Wars games? Click on the annotation or the link in the description for more Star Wars facts over at Did You Know Gaming. And hey, my name's Lee. I just did a video over at Arcadia talking about my experiences with the Star Wars franchise. It's basically a big love letter to the whole series, and I love this franchise and everything about it, so it'd really mean a lot if you gave it a watch.